Release bundles. This is actually an amazing topic, and I'll explain exactly what a release bundle is. But to preface it, let me explain to you in a simple term. A lot of companies create web services. Now, let's just picture a web service for a second. Now, a standard web service might have something like a Helm chart, a series of Docker images, and maybe Terraform to set up some sort of configuration for their services. Now, independently, those are their own type, right? Each one of those is handled differently. You use Helm for Helm, Docker for Docker, and of course, Terraform for Terraform, right? You have these three components. But the thing is in actuality, all three of these pieces act as a single release. So the idea is how do you put them together in a way that they can be treated as a single release? And that's where release bundles come in. It allows you to create evidence and use promotions. When we talk about environments as part of the user management feature, we'll talk about that, create policies based on this, and then have the ability to distribute it to things like our edge nodes that we've talked about in the platform section of this. The idea of being able to put those edges in locations where they're closest to where they need to be, but gives you the ability to actually go ahead and distribute these more rapidly in a more consistent manner is a huge thing. Like I said, being able to treat independent software releases that are treated as a collective as a single release. So the thing is that a release bundle is a secure, immutable, SBOM-enabled object, right? It can be designed any way you want it. You can actually also create it through our API, through our CLI tool, through the UI. It's digitally signed. When you create one, you can modify it, and then also, too, you can actually sign it when it's ready to be moved from, say, one location to another, which means that having this release bundle allows you to have that evidence that you need in tracking and tracing, say, a collective release together. It also allows you to take these and define environments. We talked about environments and user management, where, dev, QA, and staging and whatnot. But this allows you to emulate and replicate your SDLC, even for things like a cumulative release. This is fantastic, and it's also supported in projects. In addition to that, you can promote between these environments, and you can promote the release bundle so you can treat it, like I said, as a actual object, where you can go through the entire SDLC, the software development lifecycle. You can do it through the UI, you can do it through the CLI, you can do it through the API. There's plugins available in some of the CI systems that allow you to organize this. But there's, like I said, it allows you to take multiple package types together and treat them as a singular release, as they should be. If you're deploying a web service, or you're releasing 4 or 5 different pieces of software collectively together, this is a way to do it and promote it through the cycles. And then you can go ahead and distribute it, right? So you can either distribute it either in air gap distribution, or you can do it in connected air distribution down to our Artifactory edge nodes. We talked about access federation earlier. We talked about, distribution in general. But this allows you to create workflows in which you can enable us to automate as much as you can. It also allows you to use our key management system to digitally sign these. And by the way, when they're digitally signed like this, they're unpacked. If you're using an air gapped environment, you can actually download these as a zip file, bring them with you to a remote site, either another Artifactory instance or to an edge node, and upload them and work. There are 2 different versions of release bundles, V1 and V2. V2 is the more preferred method. V1 is probably going to be deprecated over time, so V2 is the one that we are going to go with. The next thing about this is an example is like I said, say you build something where it's, Docker and Maven and some sort of generic repository. You might have some release notes. You might promote that to QA so they can test it. So once again, you have that traceability. You have that ability to track the releases through the cycle. You can then put it to prod, so you know everything about when it was created, how it was tested, and when it was pushed. Then you can distribute it through our distribution system to the edge nodes and deploy them wherever they need to be. It could be a vehicle, it could be a web service, it could be to your end users, whatever it is. This allows you to have that complete evidence trail from front to back, and allows you to go through the cycles to different environments, change the access controls, and who has all that stuff we've talked about. This is the accumulation of builds and security and whatnot, because also, too, our X-Ray product allows you to scan release bundles non-dependent on where they are in the SDLC, even down to before they're distributed through the distribution method. So release bundles are an immutable, secure, SBOM-style artifact basic collective. It allows you to distribute or promote them through the cycle. It's very flexible to create, so there's different methodologies to do it. It's signed, so you know that it's a secure entity. You can use it in the environments, at the project level, at the global level. You can simplify your permission models by attaching them to who has access to it, so only specific people can have access. You can simplify your workflows by keep treating all these collective releases or these combined releases as a single release. And you can promote them through, like I said, through those environments. So you actually can also query and see what you have. And we've almost set up like a Kanban style UI inside of our UI, if you want to see it in there, to see how many things do you have in dev, how many have been moved to UAT or QA, how many are in your staging, and how many have been put into production. The evidence behind it has an audit trail. It can be customized. It can also you can create automatic approval gates. You also can go ahead with the promotion side of it, being able to treat multiple packages as a single release is super valuable to most companies. And at the same time, having that options and also approval gates adds just to that whole level where it's very flexible and can be utilized in any company software development lifecycle. So release bundles is one of the coolest things, in my opinion, because it's a much needed thing in the industry of collective releases being put into a single release with the evidence, promotion paths, environments, digital signing, air gapping, distribution, and then the consumption at the end. Thank you.